Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question, which I will flip in here, and he's basically saying, Jason, I notice you clean all of your weights up. You clean up almost everything you do. You do a lot of standing work. What's going on with that? A lot of old school lifters did that. What's the point? What's the benefit? So let's talk about it. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting, and let's go into this a bit. Yeah, cleaning up weights and doing tons of standing work in general is something a lot of old school lifters did. This was before machines became more popular, cables, things like that. Before everyone was focused on trying to isolate everything, people were focused upon just getting bigger and stronger and more athletic. That was how it was for decades in the lifting world. Even guys who you guys think of as older school bodybuilders oftentimes really cared how much could they deadlift, how strong were they. A lot of them were big on doing different awkward lifts just to show feats of strength of different types. Things like how much weight could they clean and snatch and push up over their head with a dumbbell, like the heaviest dumbbell they could do. Just different feats of strength. That's stuff they enjoyed doing because they just wanted to be all around strong and all around athletic. Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you guys read his book, I read it many years ago, a couple decades ago, like his Modern Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding or whatever it was called. If you guys recall, he even had a story in there talking about one gym he had trained at for quite a while when he was younger. They had an incline bench, right? But they didn't have any way to rack the barbell. It was just an incline bench. And to do incline barbell work, just like you guys all the time do dumbbells, right? Lots of guys do dumbbells on benches like that. But they were trying to do barbell work because they wanted to do big, heavy barbell work. So he said what they had to do was clean the weight up and then sit down and lay down on the incline bench and then do their presses. And then obviously they had to stand back up with it and put it back on the ground. Now, a lot of people will look at that and go, that's crazy, that's ridiculous. But it really isn't. Really isn't. Why is that ridiculous? It worked. And he remembered saying that he noticed that he just felt he got a lot denser and a lot thicker just from doing that in general, that it just added a degree of work to his training that helped him personally at that time, what he just described as get denser and harder and just all through his full body. Now we can debate whatever that's supposed to mean, but the point is it helped build up his entire body, and he remembers that. Yeah, and it was harder work. Yeah, it was more difficult to do it that way, but he remembered that he just seemed to get good results doing it. And all the guys at that gym who were having to do that, they all built good upper chests and delts and everything doing it, but they also all just got stronger all around. And it was something that he remembered enough that he felt it worth noting in his book, right? He noted it in his book because it was significant. It was significant, and that's something guys need to think about, is how many people out there, they want to do everything in a rack. They want to do everything seated. They want to have a rack help them get weights into position. And oftentimes, what does that turn out? It does a couple of things. One of the things is because a lot of guys, they don't want to waste energy getting something into position. And they seem to think that if they just conserve energy in general, that it's going to let them focus on their target muscles. It's going to help them get into shape or something in some way. But the reality is, being just generally fit and general physical preparedness, moving around all your weights helps. Racking and unracking all your own weights adds up to your cumulative general physical fitness, right? Adds up to your general physical fitness because you're just having to do more work. You're having to lift around things, do awkward lifts, something where you can't just isolate and control a given muscle, because in any real world scenario, anything you do, whether it's a sport or a real life struggle of any type, you get to pick perfect planes of motion all the time. No. That's why we have stuff called general physical fitness, GPP work. Now the thing with the GPP work is when you start thinking about this, you're going to get generally more physically fit just having to carry a load and unload all your plates when you're doing heavy lifts, cleaning weights up and stuff. That stuff starts to add up. If you do enough of it, that stuff all adds up. But the other thing is, a lot of guys struggle to clean weights and things into position because, one, their body is weak. Yeah, they might have a strong chest, they might have strong delts, but how many of them actually have a strong body? How many of them have a weak core? How many of them have weak glutes? How many have a weak upper back? All these different things contribute to your ability to just clean weights around without it really being fatiguing. And the other thing is they oftentimes use weights that are too heavy. And the reason they can't clean weights into position is because they're using weights that are too heavy for them to actually lift. Now look how many guys struggle to get even dumbbells into position for laying presses, incline presses, seated presses, you know, all sorts of stuff. They have to have someone help them get them into position. They can't just clean the weight up and then sit down with it, or clean the weight up to their shoulders and sit down when they do these seated dumbbell presses. Why? Because they're using a weight that's too heavy for them to even do on the exercise. Like how many guys do all this stuff? They have to have spotters help them get these weights into position safely without them getting hurt. And then they do partial reps. They don't even go all the way down. That's one of the benefits of using dumbbells in general, is that you have the ability to alter your planes of motion, get deeper stretches, stuff like that. That's one of the biggest, probably the only real reason to use dumbbells, unless you're specifically doing unilateral work with just one arm at a time. There's no benefit at all to dumbbells other than the fact that the bar is out of your way. You can get deeper ranges of motion, deeper stretches in certain positions than you can get otherwise. That's the whole purpose of dumbbells. How many of these guys don't take advantage of that? You do dumbbells, they don't even use the full range of motion. So that's the other thing. Cleaning weights up into position, if you're not learning to do a full power clean correctly, and you're just cleaning however you can get away with, it's going to limit you to using weights that you're actually capable of handling. Because I can assure you, if you can't clean a weight up, your chest isn't strong enough to lift it. Or, you know, either that or your chest is overly developed, or your shoulders, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. But just moving around these weights, particularly standing stuff, again, it forces you, particularly for overhead work more than anything, but even incline work and stuff, it forces you to use weights that you're actually capable of handling, instead of sitting around doing partial reps. And I'm not saying you guys have to do this all the time, but it is one way to be a set of checks and balances there, isn't it? Way to bring in checks and balances. The other thing, it forces you to do a lot more lifting standing. Remember the other day I was talking about, I saw something from, what's his name, Athlete X, Jeff Cavalier, and it was actually very well said, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I saw him say a thing where he said, if you want to be more athletic, you need to basically get your ass up off of a bench. You need to do more standing work, and that includes shoulder presses. Why would you sit down to do a shoulder press? You need to stand. It'll make you more athletic. He basically, almost his way of saying you're being lazy and you're not training like an athlete. You're sitting down to do all your shoulder presses. You go stand up. It'll build your core more. It'll build your strength more. It'll make you more athletic. Well, that's the thing. Cleaning everything up forces you to do a lot more standing, and it makes you more athletic. Even the cleaning itself does. If you have to clean up 10, 15 different sets that you do on different exercises throughout the week, now it's not necessarily going to make you a great cleaner, because the whole point is you're not trying to necessarily do it to perfect a power clean. But if you're just cleaning up work and dumbbells, hang cleaning all your dumbbells up to do standing presses, cleaning everything into position for every exercise you do, whether it's incline work, whether it's shoulder presses, everything else, it forces you to do a lot more standing. It forces you to just sling heavier weights around more often, and that is part of general physical preparedness. You know, we have all this GPP work out there that we recommend people do, but you know, really, isn't that all GPP really is? Just moving around heavy weight in awkward positions to where you can't always control these perfect bar pass and isolate muscles. It's just forcing you to do work. Barbell complexes, farmer's walks, hitting a tire with a hammer, flipping a tire. It's forcing you to just get into different awkward positions and just work muscles in different ways that they're not normally getting worked throughout your whole body. Well, isn't that what happens when you're cleaning everything up? All your standing work you cleaned up. Hell, even you get to where you start cleaning up front squats. That's a whole nother ball game right there. Guys who clean in front squat, you talk about a level of athleticism you'll develop doing that regularly. Clean in front squat, clean in press. This stuff makes you more athletic, and cleaning your weights up all the time, just like loading and unloading all your plates, contributes to your general physical preparedness. It's going to make you more athletic. It's going to make your body overall more prepared to do work. It's going to make your whole body stronger over time. This stuff is cumulative. It adds up. You're going to take weak links out of your body doing stuff like that. And that's a lot of what general physical preparedness does. And various GPP work protocols that people have, they're there to remove weak links from your body in general, just to make sure that you're generally physically prepared to do whatever sort of work you happen to throw at the body. So there's a reason all these old timers did that. There's a reason they did that. They didn't always use a lot of benches and stuff. They didn't always have benches. They had to make do. But the thing is, it helped them get into better shape. And truth be told, look how many guys who are out there who just try to do all these various body part routines who don't use any drugs. Okay, they don't have access to drugs. They're not using them. And they try to do these various body part splits with a chest day and an arm day and a leg day and all of that, right? Compare even those of you who are like, well, I just want a physique. I don't care about being strong. Compare their physiques to guys from the 40s and 50s who who didn't even use gear. A lot of them didn't have gear. Most of them didn't have access to gear. Now, by the 50s and then some of the 60s, it was pretty well spread. But a lot of these guys didn't have access to anything. They didn't have access to any supplements, didn't have access to drugs. They just came in and did general hard work. Some of them didn't even have a bench press. They had to do floor presses. They had to do bodyweight exercises. A lot of them had to clean everything into position. They had to clean. Some of them had to clean in front squat. They didn't even have a rack. And yet they built these powerful, well-developed physiques. Stuff like this contributes to that. Just cleaning everything up all the time can contribute to just your overall development, your general physical preparedness, and it's something that's just all around useful. And that's something that seems to be lost on a lot of younger guys in this last couple generations of guys in the gym. Everything seems to be about just trying to isolate and work certain things instead of saying, hey, maybe I just need to get all around bigger, stronger, and in better shape, and just do some hard work. Do some hard work. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.